You know, this is a different Unscripted because the person I'm spending time with needs no introduction.
Come on.
The legend, pastor, leader, co-founder of ARC, Greg Surratt. Come on, let's go.
You the man.
You got applause this morning.
Got applause. That's
You know,
great.
there's nothing like
Right
being
away.
here at the retreat at Church Creek. Really what I want to do is do unscripted naps all day long.
That's
Just
what we do
across
well.
the property
Yeah.
is unscripted naps across this incredible over 100 acres. Give me the background of where we're at and tell us a little bit about what God's doing here at the retreat.
We're on Johns Island, just right outside of Charleston, 30 minutes from right downtown.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you said naps. What we are, the best thing we do here are guilt-free naps.
Oh, that's good.
You don't have your mama here.
Yeah,
You don't have your kids here.
Just take a sabbatical middle of the day.
Just take it whenever you want it. But yeah, this is an incredible piece of property. We feel like the Lord opened it up for us. You can feel the peace as you just drive onto it.
I could feel it. I don't want to leave.
It's the retreat at Church Creek, and we're helping pastors live well and finish strong.
God, it's amazing. So how long have you had this piece of property?
3 years.
So it's 3 years now.
Yeah, almost exactly 3 years. And in 3 years, we've had almost 2,000 leaders that have come through here.
That have come through here, pastors, church planters, their wives, some team. You've had some senior pastors who come to be a part of it. You've had a cool variety and diversity of the body of Christ come here. And God put this in your heart before this even happened. I know you've always had a heart to make sure that pastors are healthy.
Right.
You've walked with a lot of pastors. I mean, how you've been a friend to me. Some of my good days, some of my bad days. You've been there for me. But then I've seen you do that for hundreds of pastors. You're a pastor to pastor. I always tell people, listen, if you can get wisdom from Greg Surratt, you got the best thing he's got. You have a lot of wisdom for pastors and leaders. So this was in your heart way before all this came about.
ARC, I feel like, is absolute best in the world at launching churches, loving pastors, taking care of them. But we as we began to see over the last few years, we've seen the mental health piece of that just raise. I mean, COVID was one, and even before COVID, we would have retreats for ARC pastors, and I'd sit down. Remember the very first time I sat down and said, it was an ARC retreat, and it was a golf deal, I think, and it was hot weather, just like it is today.
Right.
And they played golf all morning, and they said, what we want you to do is speak at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Nobody wants to listen to anybody at 2 o'clock in the afternoon after lunch when you played golf. And I said, I'll do it, but I won't speak. It's the first time I did what I call a high-low, where we went around the table. We said,
everybody talking about it.
What's your high? What's your low? And we got real with some things, and I thought, you know what? Pastors need that. We need to be able to talk to somebody about what we can't talk to anybody else about. And so we began to develop that and do a few retreats here and
didn't
there.
you find out? I remember you telling me that day. I remember you called me and said, I think we've come into something.
Yeah.
And you felt like God showed up that day.
Oh, he did.
Like y'all spent like most of the day into the night.
Yeah.
Doing high lows, unpacking hurt, disappointment, people repenting, people getting things right, their marriage, their kids, their church. I remember you called me and said, Dino, I think we came into something.
I think so. I remember that. And it was like the first couple of guys, kind of did a preacher deal. You gotta love that. Wonderful is,
here's how many were running, here's how Easter was.
Exactly. And after that, somebody shared a low. And it got real, and the first two guys wanted a mulligan. Hey, come on, let me do it again,
Do over.
But it's been, I want to say magical, but it's the Holy Spirit.
Yeah, it's Holy Spirit.
And so here at the retreat, it's just amazing what happens. And the catalyst for this, honestly, was the suicide of Darren Patrick.
Right.
And when that happened,
4 years ago.
4 years ago.
Yeah. Okay.
And it was about, and I began to talk to you at that time. I thought I want to devote the rest of my life at helping our guys and girls live well, finish strong, and that's our whole deal. So this opened up.
Take me back, because I know we'd walk with Darren, because you just walk with pastors and their wives so well on the mountaintops and in the valley, like you did Dylan and I, and so many people. And you did that with Darren, and I was kind of just a come alongside of you as you walked with Darren
big deal,
and his amazing wife Amy, and of course their kids. Tell me how that affected you.
Oh, it was so devastating. One of the things, it was Darren was a part of this vision.
Yeah,
in fact, Pastors Collective is what we call it. You know, it's
That's
the
right.
retreat piece.
That's
and
right.
That was Darren's idea of we don't want to, we're a part of ARC. We don't want to do something different, but let's collect some pastors to do the retreats and all of that. And it was devastating. It was absolutely devastating. I just still don't understand it completely. And in the moment, I had a dream of helping pastors, and I had a voice in my head that says, you can't even help one of your best friends. Who are you to do any of this? And fortunately, some art guys came around me and said, I believe that's God, and I believe that God is in this. Let's keep going. Let's keep doing it. And
well, pastors are humans, and humans have problems.
Yes.
And in whether it's the pastor or the church member or the person on staff or the person that volunteers, we go through things. And when we have moments in our lives that are disappointing to God, disappointing to other people, people are affected by that. There's a fallout of when whether it's our marriage, our kids, our close friends, people that we're on team with, we have this fallout. And you're working with pastors and all kinds of people when they do go through a mental health or a depression or an anxiety or I want to give up.
Yep.
I mean, I think about, you talked about how there have been, this we'll walk through the house and we'll walk across property here in a minute. You talk about 2,000 people coming through here.
Right.
And you sat with some people who said, I want to give up, I want to quit. I'm disappointed, I'm disillusioned.
Yep.
I've experienced the fallout of whether it's offense, COVID, people coming at me, or me not being what I need to be.
Right.
I mean, there's times you wake up and you think, wow, I didn't get in ministry for this, or I'm not the person I want to be in Christ, and I don't want to disappoint anybody else.
Right.
And I don't have the goods to be what I need to be, whatever it is. So you sit with people who want to quit.
I do. When I was thinking about the people that come through, and you've got a certain number of guys and girls. I'll call them. I'm a Midwesterner, so I'll say guys, but we have guys and girls. Yeah, but
you low country.
I'm low country now, but I'm Colorado with the roots.
That's right.
But you got some guys that just, hey, I just need a rest. And you've got some wives or spouses, either way, that say, you need to go. You
need a rest, a reset.
A reset. You need a
revival.
Any of those. Then you've got the guys that, and we do surveys, and so it's about 44% that are burned out. They would quit if they could. And I think
if they could.
I think about what a devastation that would be. And ARC, we deal with younger guys, and the statistics as you get younger are even higher on the whole burnout thing. And what's fun about this, and what's great about this, and to watch it, is we do a little anonymous survey at the end. 51% say it's life-changing. This week, coming to this retreat is life-changing. 51% life-changing. And so we've got guys and girls that come in and just need a little rest, or maybe I want to reconnect. And then we got ones that just, hey, I'm done. I'm through.
Tapping out.
I'm tapping out.
For 100 reasons.
Yeah, a lot of reasons. There's, the stress of the job. There's isolation and loneliness. There's family issues. There's all the things that you just ran through. Almost everybody has a betrayal story.
Yeah.
And my own insignificance, and I can't do this.
Your own insecurities, your own failure, your own outlook.
But the end of the week is phenomenal. It's just like to see. Just in a short period of time, to see a change of perspective. And we just now instituted, in fact, we're rolling it out right now, even as we speak, a 12-week aftercare.
That's huge.
We
talked
call
a lot
it a sprint.
about that.
That will kind of solidify what goes on here.
So that's ongoing help, ongoing counseling, ongoing somebody coming alongside,
and a band
some
of brothers
accountability
together or sisters, and we've got a 12-week video. Basically, Chip Judd, who is amazing, developed a video curriculum to be done in a cohort with a band of brothers that just kind of solidifies what we call 4 meta skills that will help you to live well and finish strong.
What I love about, I was able to be at the church, Seacoast, which you have campuses near here.
We do near
And
here.
so,
Yeah.
12 campuses?
14.
14 campuses. Your son is doing incredible. Josh
really
and
is.
Lisa are, my goodness.
Yeah.
But, one of the things we were talking about at dinner last night was the counseling center at the church.
Oh,
and so how important it is, like, as a church, we're caring for people, we're caring for the sheep, we're caring for the people. And then here cares for those who care.
Yeah.
Which I think, that's what I love.
Yeah.
I told you, I was so proud of Josh, and he was talking about how it's full.
Oh.
I mean, you've got church people, community people.
Hired 13 counselors.
13 counselors working with people through their hurt, working with people through their trauma, through their own devastation. So you've got a church that says, let's care for the community, let's care for people, and then let's have a retreat. And what at Church Creek.
At Church Creek. And the creek is called Church Creek out there.
And there's a lot of guys who come here and think, man, I got to get rebaptized.
Yeah, exactly.
Put me in the water again.
Exactly.
But I think that's the health we're trying to get to in the kingdom of God right now, with what we see happening in the world, is we've got to care for the sheep, we got to care for the people, and then we got to care for the caretakers, whatever that looks like, and bring life into them, and bring transparency, and bring accountability, and bring a measure of leadership. I mean, you're not only creating an environment here where somebody can be transparent, somebody can talk about, unpack their bags, but then because of what God's done in your life, what you went through, Darren, your kids, your church. How many, is it 4 decades of ministry?
Yeah, at least. We're not going to go there.
Okay, so
it's more like 5.
Okay. A lot of decades of ministry.
A lot of decades.
You and Debbie, and a variety of ministry expressions. And so you're giving that leadership to them, where you're speaking from your own journey, and you're saying, hey, I'm not I heard this expression, I'm not a sage from the stage, I'm a guide from the side.
Oh, that's good.
So I'm going to guide you into God's word, into God's plan, and into the good, the bad, and the ugly. And that happens constantly.
Oh, my favorite
here.
My favorite part of what I do anyway is to sit out here on the back porch for a couple of hours in the afternoon, and just whoever wants to talk about anything, let's just talk. And it's a lot of the same issues, a lot of the same questions. At night we'll sit there and we'll go high-low and we'll get into. But other times it's just how do you do this? How do you live well? How do you finish strong? And I haven't finished yet, but by God's grace, I'm going to finish strong.
I don't know how many pastors would thank God for you.
Well, I just love the fact that I can sit right here in my own backyard nearly. I live about an hour from here, and sit here with 2,000 leaders, spend not just a conference, but spend days with guys.
And let's walk a little bit.
Sure.
Because one of the things I love is we made a decision with the lead team and gave a seed gift.
Oh, my goodness.
To say, hey, let's make sure every church planter that we plant is going to come through this retreat at a minimum the first 2 years of their journey. So everyone who we just say yes to, but then we offer it to everybody. I mean, everybody can be a part of this.
Come.
But then we're offering this to all our planters. So they plant a church. That's a sprint. Get to the launch day. You know what it's like.
When we first talked about it, you guys said, should we send them before they launch? And I said, no, they need about a year of pain. They need to know because when you're planning a church, and both of us have done that, you're bulletproof, man. We've got a vision. It's going to be great. And it is great, but we don't understand the reality of what it's like to do ministry. And so ARC, and I want to just say thank you. We're all ARC.
Yeah.
But ARC puts the church planners, make sure that every church planner has an opportunity to come and just process. And
well, you're a co-founder of ARC. We've launched over 1,100 churches.
It's amazing.
And it's like a church. I feel like when you pastor a church, anybody who's pastored a church or led a church or been a leader in a church or served in a church, you have good days, you have bad days. And but you're trying to get better.
Yep.
And I know through your leadership, being the president all those years, our founder, Billy Hornsby, the lead team that we have, that's just thank God for those couples.
Yep.
And the goal now is to, hey, let's launch strong churches that get to a good launch day, but let's make sure the couple's as strong as we possibly can. So this is a part of that, of making sure that in that first year or two that you're here, you've got accountability, because each church is autonomous. We've talked a lot about the autonomy of each church.
Right.
So we launch a church It is an autonomous church with its own government, with its own trustees, like you have at Seacoast. You have your own leadership there, but we're trying to come alongside of that.
Yes.
Along with the other two. Unpack that concept and why that's been important to ARC, but then how this serves that.
Right. Well, there's a phrase that's been rattling in my head for a few months now, and that's that you need to be well in order to build well.
Wow.
Okay? Now, you can build. You can build big, you can build small, you can build medium, but are you building well? And I think that it begins with being well. We don't control anybody. I mean, ARC's not a denomination. We never have been, never wanted to be. We provide a resource-rich environment for a vision and a dream of a young church planter. But we really feel like, along with those how-tos, which they're so important, that we need to have how-tos on how we be well.
Yeah.
And that's our lane here, is the be well lane. If we can be well, we can build well. And I think it all fits together well.
When you started ARC with Billy, you're co-founder, and we launched Church of the Highlands and New Life, and I was an existing church like you in Baton Rouge. We made a big decision. We don't be a denomination.
Exactly.
We don't want to be the government. We don't want to be their mom and dad.
Nope.
What was in your heart in the early moments? I remember being in that conversation with our lead team that's expanded since then. Why were you saying that?
Well, it was a legitimate conversation. Who are we going to be? Who you're going to be long term, the seeds are in the very beginnings. And we had some, we always have, what do I want to say, aggressive conversations? Or because there's some people with
fun
strong
ones.
ideas, fun questions. But we said, you know what? Let's not do that. If at all possible, and this was Billy's term, let's be a resource-rich environment where the young couples can come in, they can be blessed, they can get what they need financially, trained, all of those types of things. And I believe that, and we have a suggested government that they can take or not take. I believe that concept and that they're all autonomous and that they have overseers has been a healthy thing for a lot of churches. Yeah. And it's saved churches from disaster. It's helped pastors to be able to do what they need to do. And I'm a champion of that.
Yeah, and when it's worked, it's worked.
Oh, it's worked.
But there are times that people make bad decisions.
They do.
And you're there to do your best to serve that church.
Exactly.
And to serve those people. But we believe in a New Testament sense that strength and that governance is in that local church.
In the local church.
And I'm glad y'all made that decision. I'm glad I was at the conversation, but I was so young. We were small. Yeah. We were a younger church at Seacoast. Yeah. I just kind of said, amen. I like it.
You were just Mr. Generosity is what you've always been. I just got I got a call the other day. It was so unfortunate. It was a denominational church, and the wheels had come off in an incredible way.
Painful.
Just painful. And I asked him, I said, what's your church government? Do you have overseers outside the church or whatever? This poor young guy is about 42 years old. He's a deacon. He's getting ready to be the chairman of the board. He's never been through anything like this before. And he said, there's nobody from outside to help us through this thing. And I thought, oh my God, that's very unfortunate, because things happen in churches, things happen in leadership.
It's people.
And so anyway.
So when you're here and you've got a planter or a young pastor couple, and or just the pastor or somebody on team, because I know you bring some team out, and I love how you work. It's a diverse environment. You've got all kinds of people from all backgrounds.
All backgrounds.
And when you're in that, what I love is you give a lot of resources. It's just not you, but you put a team of people out here in this retreat.
Oh yeah.
So they're not only getting all of this experience where they unwind, but then you're putting some people in front of them or giving them additional resources to help them in their journey be well and live well and finish strong. So tell me a little bit about some of those resources.
Well, what's fun is everybody who works out here feels like it's a calling and a mission.
Yeah, it's big.
And whether it's the guy that's the professional fishing guide, And, we've got saltwater fishing and freshwater fishing and all of that.
Look at all the crabs.
Oh, yeah, they're everywhere. It's the low country.
I love it.
It's the low country.
If you went out there in that mark, you get eaten.
Yep.
The crabs be eating you. Look at that. That is wild.
And you've got that at every level. And then we'll bring in counselors and we bring in kind of leadership experts. And we do retreats several times a year that I call the old dudes retreat, where you bring in baby boomer pastors who are looking at, what do I do next? And by the way, if you're a baby boomer pastor, God loves you, and I have a wonderful plan for your life. And then their wife said, well, we want to do that. We couldn't call it old women's retreat, so we call it
stay away from that.
Women of Wisdom. I
Women of Wisdom. I'm going to remember that term.
And what we're doing is we're matching some of the wisdom and gifts and age and experience with some of these young planners, to help them live well and finish strong. And so that's one of the fun things that we do.
And a key to that has been, I knew Chip Judd from back in the day in the Myrtle Beach days.
Oh, yeah.
And it was a blessing. He was the first pastor, Pastor Greg, who ever spent time. I went and did a meeting with him, and he taught me a little bit of the Bible. Yeah. He taught me about the power of the Gospels. Mm-hmm. Matter of fact, he was the one who told me you need to go back and read the Gospels because it makes you like Jesus and you're nothing like Jesus. He told me you were nothing like Jesus.
He said, you go read the red letters because you're nothing like that.
And I was
need to read that.
I was 19 years old, Greg. I was 19 years old.
Yeah.
And so all these years, Chip and his wife have been, wow. I wouldn't be here today. He spent time with a young kid who had not been in church. And so all these years later, fast forward, he's doing that now to a lot of pastors. You ain't nothing like Jesus.
Well, Chip is an 8 on the Enneagram. Okay,
Which means?
Well, I'm a 3, so I think you're wonderful regardless of who you are, and you're going to get better. Chip tells me every once in a while, he'll say, now, when you go into a meeting, you need to bring an 8. He just said, you don't have to bring me, but you need to bring an 8, because an 8 will tell you the truth.
Oh, they're going to get to the point.
And Chip is going to get right to the point.
Yeah, my wife is a little like that.
Yeah.
Dylan's a little. So Chip comes alongside and is in these environments. He's giving resources. Mm-hmm. He's helping to put together, obviously, this extended, what do you call it, the sprint?
We'll call it 120-day sprint, endurance factor sprint.
What has he meant to you as having a counselor, a friend, a safe place, a place that you can go 100, which I think is so important for people. Mm-hmm. Of course, it's important to pastors, but it's important to people, to a businessman, to a mom, to somebody on staff, somebody who's right. You need somebody in your life that you can go 100% with.
Exactly.
That then gives you godly, Bible, Spirit-led advice, counseling, truth. What has that meant to you?
It's saved me. I'm in the game partially because Chip has come into my life. It's awesome to have a friend, a co-minister, and a counselor. Not a lot of people find that. It can be irritating too. Sometimes I'll be in a meeting or I'll be doing something and I'll walk out and Chip reads me and he'll say, do you want to process that? And I say, no, I don't want to process anything.
Yeah, I just want to be angry.
I want to be angry, But he has helped me see life in a different way. And I can't say enough.
Yeah, it's interesting how I went through a season in my life where I ran from transparency. Mm-hmm. I ran from being 100% because of the anger, the disappointment, my own junk. And I'll never forget, I got to a point in my life where it was like, that's not working for me.
Yeah.
It's making me more angry. It's creating more distance.
Yep.
I feel more isolated. I'm alone in my thoughts, which is not good.
That's a terrible place to be.
Because you'll come to bad conclusions.
Exactly.
And you'll make bad decisions.
Exactly.
And I've made some bad decisions. But then when you discover the freedom to be able to say, hey, here's my problem. I need help. Here's what's happening. The freedom of repentance, the freedom of a resolution of your soul, to be able to change. But how often have you worked with pastors and leaders where all of a sudden you see them in that decision? Do I be transparent or do I keep hiding?
Yep. Yeah. That's a crucial, critical moment, because if you keep hiding, it's going to come back and get you. There's no doubt about it. And you bring it. What's so interesting to watch here. I like to quote C.S. Lewis because it makes me sound smarter.
It does.
But C.S. Lewis said that friendship is born the moment that one person says to another, "What, you two? I thought I was the only one."
Gosh.
And boy, do we see that happen here. I want to tell you about one. There's so many. I could give you stories all the time. But not long ago, I was in here, and there were 3 or 4 guys that had been here before. And they were sitting in the exact same place that they were before, but they had come together. One was from Oregon, and one was from Tennessee.
Wow, that's a change.
I don't know where.
Yeah, that's different.
But at night, they began to share, and one of them said, "You know why I'm sitting right here? He's sitting right next to me." I said, "No, why?" He said, "Because right here in this seat, God changed my life a year ago. And my ministry's never been the same." And then another guy over here goes, "I'm sitting right here for the same reason." A guy down at the end of the table says, "That's exactly why I'm here." And we met each other here, didn't know each other, didn't really have a band of brothers, and we are a band of brothers now. And we wanted to come back and celebrate that. And that was guys who didn't know each other, thought their own thing, their own stuff was their own stuff, and felt trapped in just, all of the stuff of ministry, and their life changed.
What do you think? I want to walk back to the doc.
Yeah.
What do you think, Greg? And I think this is important. If you're someone in your life, husband, child, friend, pastor, is not doing well, a lot of times you can feel someone's not doing well.
Yeah.
They're just not on. They're not themselves.
Right.
Something's off.
Yep.
Let's use that word. And someone says, I don't know what to do. All these years of experience, what's your advice to someone, a spouse, or that says, "Man, I feel like somebody in my life is off, and I want to help them"?
That's a good question. I think about you when you went through a difficult time, and I felt like I know Dino's off, but I didn't know what to do. Did not know what to do. And the first thing I would say is press in, keep pressing in.
Yeah.
Press in prayer. But press in. You don't want to be obnoxious about it.
Right.
Because then you run away. But it's hey, it seems
I'm here
like
for you.
I'm here for you.
Yeah, and yeah.
I'm here for you. And I want to tell you this, that regardless of what you tell me, I'm still here for you.
Yeah.
And you've got that. I thank God for a place like Church Creek, because we've seen several times that spouses just insist that their spouse come and be a part of it. And we've made it free for that purpose, that anybody can come. What's great is you'll sit here. I remember one time we had a pastor of a church of 50 people that his wife had died tragically just a few weeks before. He doesn't know what to do. He's still preaching because there's nobody to do anything.
Just preaching through the grieving.
And right across the table from him is a pastor of 13,000 people. And none of them know. I mean, they probably figured it out at some point, but we don't talk about that stuff.
No,
None of them know. But a friendship is born in crisis. So I would say do whatever you can to get them to something like this. Maybe even talk to a friend and who knows them well.
Yeah, and kind of go together.
Go together. Yeah.
I love what you said. There's a lot of people that can come here. I mean, look at this, Pastor. Look at this.
Oh.
I mean,
there's healing. Let me tell you something, Dino. There is healing power in nature.
Yeah.
God created places like this. He never intended for us to sit inside in air-conditioned environments. I thank God for air-conditioning environments, or I wouldn't live in the South right now. But he meant for us to come out, and Jesus would go away with his disciples and go away by himself. And
thank God for people that give to this, so you can offer it to a pastor for free. You can say to someone in trouble, "Hey, don't worry about the expense."
Exactly.
If you want to be here, whether that's a planter, I know a lot of our friends are giving to this, so that you can say yes to. And there's some people that are living in urban context that don't get to do this.
We had a guy, inner city Baltimore, I think, came out here first time he'd ever been out in anything like this, and we're right here, right now, standing. Right out by Church Creek, and there's the dock and all of that. And his testimony one night was, "God lives out here on this dock." He says, "I've never seen anything like this in my life." And he come out early in the morning and hang out here. And yeah.
It was interesting. I remember sitting and they were talking about soul health. You hear a lot about that now, soul care, some of those things, self-care. and there's different sides of all that.
Right.
But I remember sitting with a counselor, and he was like, you got to get outside to breathe, to think, to process. The air, the wind, the water, all these things are refreshing. They rejuvenate.
Exactly.
And because you can feel a little locked in the cage.
Oh, you do.
Of what you do every day. But
Sunday comes every 7 days.
Yeah, it does.
And last I checked. And, one of the things that we do, one of the days out here, and we're not super structured on purpose. We have a lot of things to do, but we say, you don't want to come away. You ever gone to a retreat and you were more tired after you came home than when you went? We don't want that.
1,000%. Hey, thanks so much for tuning into this episode of Unscripted. We just want to take a brief moment to say thank you so much to Master's Plan for making this episode possible. I'll tell you something about Master's Plan. This is a national partner to churches who are looking to renovate, expand, repurpose a building, relocate, start a new campus, or build a new construction. They will be with you from the very first moment that you discover the need to the first Sunday of celebrating what God has done in the dedication of a new space. And they have a successful history in designing and completing projects under budget. It's hard to believe 100% of the time, but it's true. They also have a free resource called Master's Plan University to educate you on the building process. This is super important. Make sure to check them out on our website, arcchurches.com, partners, to learn more about all that they do for us.
But what we do is on one of the days that you're out here, we say one of your assignments is to get out by yourself in nature for an hour and ask God a couple of questions. And we kind of guide that a little bit. And it's one of then they come back and process. It's one of the most powerful nights that we have together. They're just healing out there.
Yeah. Tell me what happens. Tell me some things that have happened around this table.
Oh, man. What we'll do the first night, oftentimes, and it depends if there's a breeze. There's a breeze right now.
Yeah.
You know the low country. If there's no breeze.
Yeah. What's up, my man? Good to see you.
Jamie.
Good to see you, Jamie.
Jamie.
Great message this weekend.
Oh, thank you, Jamie.
Amazing.
What is Jamie?
Jamie, tell them what you do, Jamie.
I'm the recreational guide out here.
Oh, you look like you can recreate on some things, but unlike myself.
Just off the cuff, what's this place meant to you, just as a
For
guy?
me, it's been a dream come true. Honestly, like being a fishing guide my whole life, like traveling to travel, be all over the place, to be able to come here and take people out who just generally just are out here for the love of it.
Yeah.
My whole life, I guide people like, I want big fish. And They're stressed out on the boat, But here, people come to get the opposite. They just come here to find joy, to find peace, to find happiness. And the fact that I get to show up every day and be provided for them in some way, shape, or form, because they give so much to their community. You guys give so much to your families. You sacrifice, and you got to come out here and have a little time for yourself. And I get to see that smile, that joy, all that work that they put on at the dinner table, put out here. I get to see it translate onto the water.
Yeah.
And it's special for me because this is my
great
place. This is where God wanted me to be.
Yep.
So,
I appreciate you, man.
That's
awesome.
It's been a blessing for sure.
Yeah. So tell me what happens here.
Well, if you got a little breeze, because if you don't have a breeze in the low country, the bugs are going to eat you. All right? So we praise God for the breeze. And out here on the water, we've got breeze. So when we have a breeze, we'll come out here and we'll have what we call a low country boil. In Louisiana, they say everything that is in a ditch, you throw in water and boil it and eat it. Well, ours are in creeks, and so we have shrimp and all the low country stuff, and we'll just lay we'll lay paper out on this and just throw it out here.
Yeah.
Everybody eats with their fingers, and it's maybe the first time they've done that. And then we'll sit and we'll do our high-lows right here out in nature, if you can imagine that.
Yeah.
And sometimes that goes forever out here on the dock.
Yeah.
But it's just an amazing thing.
What would you say to a pastor who says, "Man, I don't need to talk about my mental health. I don't need to talk about my soul care. I don't need to talk about none of that.
Yeah.
Man, I got it. I'm Superman. I'm just going to preach. I'm going to go." We've all seen the train wreck.
Yes.
Of that. How important it is that you get strategies around your peace, strategies around your connection to God, and that pressure, that burnout, that anxiety, that fear, that insecurity. Hey, competitiveness, comparison. I mean, you probably deal with the disease of comparison at every retreat.
Every retreat.
Because that'll jack your mental health up.
Oh, it's you have a great weekend and you baptize 4 people and you go on Instagram and
Yeah.
somebody's baptized 1,000 and you think, here I am right here, and you need to shut that stuff down. But no, if we all need it. If somebody says, I don't know about that touchy-feely, all that kind of thing. And there are guys that have come here that have said, thank God for the fishing and all the different things that we do, because I don't know that I'd come for the touchy-feely. But if you don't pay attention to what's going on inside, you may be headed for some tough times, because we're all human. We are all human. We have an enemy, and part of the strategy of staying ahead of the enemy and defeating the enemy is that you're not in it alone. You're a band of brothers, a band of sisters. And we do an exercise. In fact, it's part of the follow-up. It's part of the book that Chip and I wrote called Detoxing Your Soul by Killing Your Ants. And we teach you how to do that. Ants, you ever had ant ruin a picnic?
Yeah.
Or you turn the lights on at home and there's a row of ants
scrambling.
Yeah. Well, we have ants every day and they're automatic negative thoughts. It's the enemy. I can't, I won't, or I'm going to do this because it makes me feel better.
Yeah.
It's all of these things, and we talk about how to detox that, and that's part of what the process is.
Because it's almost like our addiction, sin, they start as an ant.
Yeah, oh yeah.
But they don't stay as a little tiny ant.
No, it gets serious.
Yeah, it becomes like a killer ant.
A killer ant.
Fire ant. And so it's better to be in a process, getting help when things are small than letting those things get big.
Get a habit of living well.
Yeah.
A habit of doing that. And if you live well and get habits of living well, and we teach you some of those things, then the finishing well kind of is an outcome of that.
So you pastored a huge church. You were a father of multi-site. There's been a lot of things God's used you, a father of church planting. Some of the conversations you've had, you are early releaser of a lot of conversations that people were not having. Multi-site church planting. This is the transition that you've made with your son that a lot of people model.
Right.
Things like that, transparency and leadership. So you were doing all that. You were building a big old church, building buildings, launching campuses, handling staff, working with people, leaders, small groups. What were you doing in those moments to try to stay ahead of the ants?
Yeah.
Throughout your life, all these years of ministry?
I used to carry a 3x5 card in my pocket all the time. I recognized early on, and somebody wise told me early on that if you don't take care of yourself and if you don't realize the seriousness of what you're capable of, then you're gonna be in trouble. And I wrote on a card the consequences of a failure by me. What that would mean to me, what it would mean to my wife, my kids, the church, and all of that. And I know there's restoration, there's forgiveness, there's all of those things. But I carried it with me to remind me of the fact that I am as human as the next guy. I'm no better than the next guy. I'm no worse than the next guy. I'm just a guy. I'm a human being. Now I'm created in God's image, and I'm learning more and more every day about how much God loves me. But I'm capable of, I'm capable of about anything. Yeah. And so I did that. And then when ARC was formed, part of the reason ARC was formed, Billy was the catalyst for that. Yep. Billy was working for us, and after he was at down in Louisiana at Bethany, and what a great church. But Billy really introduced me to relationships with other guys. And when you came into my life, when Chris and Rick and Randy and the whole team early on,
Herbert, Siebling, Champion,
it just showed me a
Mullins,
whole new
Haas's,
level.
Keller. A whole new level. Friends.
A whole new level of what friendship is and could be, and that's the band of brothers, and that's that's the number one. We have 4 meta skills and to help you live well, finish strong. And the number one is you got to find a band of brothers. I remember early on, in maybe 5-6 years on, a pastor of a large church came and played golf with me because you can hear God on the golf course.
on the golf course
You know
or
what
in
I'm
the
saying?
marsh.
Yeah. And he asked me somewhere along the line, he said, "Are you lonely?" And I knew he was asking because he was. And I said, I was, but I found a band of brothers.
Yeah.
And it changed my life. And so that's one of the first things we talk about.
My father-in-law has always talked about, they probably got it from Mother Teresa about the disease of loneliness.
Mm-hmm.
And that affects everybody. That's those who lead the church, that are people in the church, that's people who
That's
ride up and down
epidemic.
these roads.
That's epidemic right now. I was reading an article the other day that loneliness is epidemic right now.
Yeah.
And so that's...
And you'll do something to fill the hole.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where you do have a world of addiction. You do have a world of self-medicating,
Right.
codependency.
Yes, all of that.
Some of the things that are harmful
Mm-hmm.
that people go through every single day.
Mm-hmm.
When you lean into people like Seacoast has, or we've always tried to, you don't run away from people's pain. You try to lean into their pain, and you never hijack their pain for it to be your thing.
Right.
You're trying to care about that person.
Yeah.
And I had a person come yesterday at church and stop me and said something that they were walking through with one of their children. It was just a moment.
Mm-hmm.
But if you stop and understand what that mom and dad are going through with that child,
Right.
and it's painful.
Yep.
It may be a 9-year-old, 11-year-old, but if things aren't going through with school, if the friend group isn't working,
Mm-hmm.
if a child at that age feels lonely,
Yep.
Doesn't feel noticed, then all of a sudden that becomes everything.
Mm-hmm.
And thank God that down front getting prayer,
Yeah.
connecting to one of the people there, and that's what this is about. This is about being connected to God, and it's about being connected to each other. And
each
thank
other.
God for people that give to it, that
Oh,
support
man.
this, and that help make this happen.
Well, 94% of the churches in America are 500 or less.
100%.
Okay? And at that level, oftentimes they can't afford to get what they need.
Or have staff.
And that's why we said, we're going to make this free. Now, larger churches contribute and give and whatever, but it's always going to be free. And it's because of friends like WIF, Wesleyan Financial, who stepped in and gave a huge gift.
time.
The ARC lead team gave a huge gift. And then we
The
have...
Myers.
The Myers. Oh, my goodness. Joyce Meyer helps to make possible women's retreats out here. Yeah. It's just amazing. And I go on, and we're leaving out a lot of people, but there are a lot of churches that have just written this into their mission budget.
Yeah, we have.
And said, Highlands. Oh, my goodness, yes. Written it into the missions budget and say, this is so important. World missions is important.
Of course.
Church planting is important.
Yeah.
But if we don't if we don't keep them in the game and help them live well, help them be well, then we've got a world of hurt coming up. And so I just thank God for all the churches and friends and people who sacrifice so that we can do what we do here.
Pastor Greg, if these walls could talk,
goodness.
You're renovating, so you're doing an upgrade already after a couple years.
Yeah.
Need more space.
Yeah.
This room is significant.
Big
table. Talk to me.
This is normally a big table all the way down, and this is where the magic happens, right here. It's like there's a lot of tears, there's a lot of laughter, there's a lot of life change and relationship that happens right here. It's a holy space. This is like an altar in a church. It's just a holy space. And right now, we are renovating. It needed to desperately, 2,000 people in 3 years.
Yeah.
This was a single family home. But the county decided, y'all need to upgrade some things.
There we go.
You know how it is.
Yeah.
We weren't ready for that, but it's going to make us better. And so we're raising resources and doing a whole renovation in here.
I bet you walk into some of these spaces and there's activities going on, and you'll see that guy just sitting there.
Oh.
Just journal, Bible,
right here,
or sitting
all
by
day
himself
long.
out on the porch.
All day long. All day long.
Taking it in.
All day long.
Unpacking it.
Then I sit right out here on this porch, And it's probably why I'm gaining weight. And some guys are going fishing. I just sit out here and shoot the breeze with whoever's there. And always a little group of, hey, what about this? And how do you do this? And I love it.
How have you processed? I mean, you still speak at Seacoast. You're traveling constantly. People want you. I mean, all the leadership and wisdom you provide for ARC and so many churches.
I don't know about that.
I mean, I don't know how many times I'm calling you saying, Pastor Greg, but anyway, and of course the role of the church is still crucial. Mm-hmm. You're the father of the church. You're the founder. But how have you, in your own heart, processed now into this season of your life, as young as you are? Mm-hmm. And now you feel like this is your future. This is legacy.
This is my assignment, my current assignment. Seacoast lead pastor was my assignment. And they're doing great.
Yeah, they are. When I was there yesterday.
I just watch them.
Oh,
they're doing great.
Yeah, what a great leader Josh is.
And their whole team is amazing. Yeah. But for me, think about this, dream come true. One of the things that I want to do is I want to influence and encourage 100,000 pastors in my lifetime. That's one of the things I want to do. And but I don't want to travel all over the place. I'll travel,
sure.
Some. I sit right here on that porch, right there, and at this table right here, and spend time with 2,000 leaders in 3 years, and they come here. And I love it. I sleep in my own bed.
Yeah.
I did have a little camp trailer out here that I was sleeping in.
Yeah, but you're going back to
I go back to my own bed. I work a little bit in the morning and come out here in the afternoon. And it's just, for a leader, it's a dream come true.
How do you see this evolving in the future? What are your plans here? What is your vision? Not only here, I mean, you're doing a big old renovation now.
We are.
But when you think, man, I really want to see this is what I see. Yeah. We need this. This is a missing piece.
Yeah.
Because you're feeling it, you're sensing it.
Oh, yeah. Well, this renovation will make us better.
Yeah.
It'll be a much better experience and be able to
add a few beds,
handle a few more people. What's interesting is during the renovation, the shutdown, we haven't shut down retreats. We're doing them in Michigan, in Seattle, in South Africa. And so one of the things I want to see is just multiplying, and we don't have to multiply, we don't have to build another retreat. There are places that people will let us use, but multiply this all over. I mean, this is basically a Southeast thing. People from the West Coast got to almost do a red eye to get here. Yeah. We want to do it everywhere because we think it's very, very important. So we're ramping up our team and ramping up partnerships in order to do that. What really revs me up is the aftercare piece. And we are, I like to create.
Yeah.
And I'm creating.
You are creative.
I'm creating right now an online pastors collective community to capture some of what happens here. And also the 120-day sprint. And there's just a lot of things that we want to do there. We also are working with some major organizations. Chick-fil-A has helped us given us some seed money to figure out how can you get counselors to the people that need it. So we're working on that whole thing. We're working with some major universities on some of those issues. How do we multiply what it is that's happening here?
So, and that's what I encourage every pastor. I said a couple of things. One is you better be meeting the needs of your church. Mm-hmm. And you better be providing that care, that love, that support to your church people. And then when you can do that, then extend to the community. Mm-hmm. Because a lot of times people are finding Christ or finding hope or finding church family through when a church goes outside or offers things to the community. Mm-hmm. And so those are happening. And then being able to care for its leaders. Mm-hmm. And so it's so important right now because of the stress and the pressure and awareness of what's happened in our lives. So we're trying to processing in a healthy space, processing it with the right people. My gosh, when you process it with the wrong people, that becomes its own set of problems. So you're trying to create, it seems like you're trying to create that holistically.
We are.
So care for the caregivers, make sure the churches are healthy, create ways, because Seacoast is a model again in that, of making sure the church is caring for people that have gone through all kinds of crazy things, painful things. So it's really kind of a holistic thing we're trying to figure out.
With you talk about the Seacoast story, we have 3 dream centers.
Yep.
And we do Serve Day. Now, we don't 100%. Do Serve Day in July.
I know, you moved it to March.
It's too hot.
I know. I get it.
Down here.
I bless you.
But we killed it in March. We're the same red Serve t-shirts.
Reach out, man. Let people know we're here.
But we have dream centers, and we have Serve Days, and we have all of that.
Yeah.
And it's all important. But in Mount Pleasant, where the original campus is it's grown to be, it's full up of houses, so it goes up in price, it's close to the beach.
It's affluent.
It's affluent. And so they said, do we need a dream center here? And they said, no, here's what the needs are. It's addiction, it's loneliness, isolation, it's all of those things. And so in lieu of another dream center, we built a counseling center and to reach out to the needs of the local community. Every community is not the same. Every need's not the same. And it's been a huge, huge, huge hit and blessing to the community. And so, I think that's an important thing, just to look around and go, what can we do? And for me, what I can do, somebody I respect greatly, John Maxwell, who says, and I don't know if he coined the phrase, but he says, everything rises and falls with leadership. Mm-hmm. And if we can, and there's all kind of forms of leadership. Leaders need to know how to do things, but they also need to know how to be.
Yeah.
Am I who God has created me to be? And so we just want to invest as much time as we can on helping leaders be well so they can build well, live well so they can finish strong. And that's what I'm committed to.
Pastor Greg, this is unscripted because I ask you questions you don't know I'm going to ask you.
Uh-oh.
We don't rehearse this.
Oh, no.
And, riding up here this morning, you've rode up to a lot of cool places. You've rode up to church plants. Mm-hmm. You've rode up to high schools and theaters. You've rode up to incredible buildings. You've rode up to pastors' gatherings. If you're like me, there's nothing we love riding up to more than a church plant.
Oh, man.
We and you get to do some anniversaries.
Oh, that's
What's
so
it
much
like
fun.
riding up to a church plant? Riding up to an anniversary, riding up to that, you see the sign, you see people welcoming, you feel God in that space. What's that like for you now, being a founder and a co-founder of ARC, over 1,000 churches?
Yeah.
What does that feel like as a spiritual dad?
Oh, it's like your kids. I mean, some of them some of them, I know all my kids. But ARC is so, we planted so many, some of them you don't know as well. You know them better, you get to be with them all the time. It's like your kids. You are so proud. My wife gets tired of hearing it. Yeah. Sometimes it's not even when we're going through it. We'll be driving through a town, and I'll tell her, there's a church plant right here.
Church plant.
Hey, there's 5 ARC churches in this town, and it's just it never gets old.
We would have never thought.
Never.
That some of these churches that are impacting people's lives.
Never.
Populating heaven, plundering hell.
Oh, my goodness.
Making a difference in families, seeing the next generation. Seeing even the next generation of church planters now that were at a church. Now that church became a sending church.
Yes. Oh, it's amazing.
I get excited about that.
I do too. It's like there's nothing like a church planter. They think they can do anything.
Yeah.
It's just awesome. And they have some of the craziest ideas. And sometimes we'll go, well, that'll never work. And when it does, we copy it.
Oh, yes, we do.
You know what I mean? The innovation is just amazing.
And you can't plant without a partner church. And you've been big on this, getting churches of all shapes and sizes, with all different vibes and flows and tribes to be a part of ARC.
Yes, absolutely. You've got to. You've got, there's the joy of planting, but I think about the reward, and this is spiritual, but I think about the reward. I feel like that when I give to a church plant, or I give to ARC, and ARC plants churches, because all the money that I give to ARC personally goes toward planting churches because of the lead team and their generosity. I feel like I get a heavenly reward for that.
Yeah. And Seacoast made the initial gift. We came alongside as a smaller gift.
Yeah.
You beat me on that.
I don't know about that.
But all these 22 years you've been investing in church planting, even beyond that. Mm-hmm. Are you glad?
Oh, am I glad? You know what I like? This is crazy. It probably sounds self-serving, but I love the ARC offering at the ARC event, because Seacoast gives.
Sure.
But Debbie and I get an opportunity to be a part of that too. And I love it. I love it.
When people ride up here and they see this house, they see this space, I bet there's nothing you feel better about when you ride up. And you know that you're getting ready to spend 3 or 4 days, because you'll have some back-to-back retreats.
Oh, yeah.
And it doesn't happen without people who give to it. How do people become a part of the retreat at Church Creek?
Yeah.
How do they become a part of Pastors Collective?
Yeah.
And how do people either attend or give or support?
Right. That's all at one website. It's pastorscollective.com.
Yeah.
And that's kind of an umbrella over the retreats, and I say plural because, you know, we're doing them in more than one place now, and we're hoping to do that a lot more in the future. The Pastors Collective community, which is the online community, all of that. But it's all there, and pastorscollective.com. You can sign up for a retreat. You can give to help others. You know, that's, to me, the ripple effect of what we do is amazing.
Yeah.
It's not just a pastor, because every pastor represents how many people?
A lot of people.
And we want to make that a great ripple. And so, you know, just challenge you and encourage you to be a part.
I love being with Greg Surratt on one of your favorite places on the planet. Right
it's great
here.
to have you here and host you. I'm excited you're here.
Thanks for being a part of Unscripted.
Well, thank you.
Hey, we're so honored that you joined us on this episode here at Unscripted. If you're interested in learning more about planting a church or partnering with ARC, we'd love to get you connected. So visit our website at arcchurches.com for more information. Love to have you a part of this journey. So thanks again for being here, and we'll catch you on the next episode of Unscripted.